really struggling today. I kid you not. I have attempted. So if you guys don't know, I am running a 5-week challenge of posting a video every single day on YouTube. And today I have already attempted to film an episode like 5 times. None of them were good. None of them were connecting. And so I decided to go to my laptop and just edit an older video that I planned on posting and just haven't gotten around to. And so I finished editing it, probably spent another almost 2 hours editing that. And now there's something happening with the editing software where it won't let me download the completed video to post in time. And so while I was waiting to see if this video was going to download, I went on my phone and scrolled a little bit, and I found this video where this woman is preaching about first generation chain breakers and how the enemy really attacks those who are first generation chain breakers. And so I thought, wow, this video deeply moved me and resonated with me because I am a first generational chain breaker. And in this video, she reminded me that yes, although she just reminded me that first generational chain breakers really do have a lot to overcome. This isn't a comparison video. This isn't something to say like second generational chain breakers have it easier. But this is to say that if you are the first in your family to truly pursue a close, deep relationship with God, that you have a lot to work through, more than someone who has at least been exposed to what it's like to walk with God. So second generational chain breakers, they are the ones who their parents have already been in the church. Maybe they have introduced their kids. They brought their kids to church. Their kids understand what fasting is. They know who Jesus is. They understand who Christ is. And they have parents who submit to it. Maybe they haven't had a personal relationship with God, but they have introduced enough to their kids to understand that they need a relationship with God. Now, first generational chain breakers are ones who don't really know anything about the church, have never seen their parents pursue a relationship with God, or maybe their parents know about God and understand the instructions on how to follow God, but never developed anything further than that. I am a first generational chain breaker. My parents are, they went to church. They went to church and they brought us to church, but we grew up Catholic, and they never explained anything about Jesus. I had no idea anything about Jesus or anything about Christ. I just knew that they forced me to go to church, and we sat at a certain time and we kneeled at a certain time and we said certain things and we stayed quiet and sang in certain ways. And so although technically I was in the church at a young age, I learned nothing from it. Learned absolutely nothing. And by the age of 13, my parents allowed me to choose whether or not I wanted to go to church because I was old enough to take care of myself. And I chose to not walk with God. And so I truly had no idea who God was, who Jesus was. This is also the reason why it took me 3 years of my walk with Christ before I even decided to get baptized, because I didn't understand who Jesus was. I didn't know who Jesus is. And so I'm sharing this because that video deeply, deeply resonated with me. I felt this pain in my heart of how much you actually have to break through when it comes to being the first one to truly develop a deep relationship with God. Not one that is just all fluff and light, but one that requires obedience and requires you to listen and requires you to stop acting as you did before Christ. Ones that requires you to be convicted to follow through with the commands that he gives you, not just living this fake Christian life where all you do is say you love God, but don't actually perform any acts to show that you do. And because of this, we need to remember, if you are a first generational chain breaker, you need to remember that you were never exposed to this life. You have no foundational understanding of who Jesus is. You have no understanding of who God is. And so to explore this as a new understanding is totally outside of your scope of understanding. And I just wanted to jump on here to say, give yourself some grace. Know that a lot of what you're working through, you're learning all new. You're learning something new every single day. And I can sometimes be a little arrogant in thinking that I can learn these things much faster than anyone else. But that arrogance sometimes doesn't grant me the grace that is necessary to forgive myself when I step out of line, or when I'm not in alignment with what Christ has asked me to do. There are so many things that I am still learning in this walk with Christ. And sometimes, because I am learning things brand new, I feel like I'm behind. I feel like I don't have the fruit to showcase what I have been learning. I have the faith. I'm fired up. I'm excited, and I love God, and it's clear that I love God. But to walk this without any prior knowledge is a task, is a challenge in and of itself. And when the enemy sees that you are full on committed to walking this walk out with Christ, he will try so hard to break you down, because he knows that if you continue down this path and you break the chains for the rest of your bloodline, that means your children will now have access to God, will now be able to commune easier and more and connect deeply with God. That means they will have an easier path to step forward into their purpose. And the rest of your family bloodline will begin to cleanse themselves of the devil's grip. That is a huge calling that you have in your life. If you are a first generational chain breaker, you have a massive duty and high calling and purpose to bring your bloodline to a point where your kids will not have to do the same challenges that you have had to overcome, because you're staking the claim. You're throwing the gauntlet down. So I just wanted to jump on here and encourage you, when things are not going your way, like today, nothing is working. Literally nothing is working. But I kept persevering. I kept pushing. And now I'm sitting here actually having a video that I think I'm going to release today that I'm so excited about, because I got inspired. But I'm sharing this because I want you to not give up and persevere on those days that seem very hard and difficult to push through. Today, I pushed through a lot of my emotions, my doubts. I didn't feel like working today. I didn't feel like going to the gym today. I didn't feel like working out. I have been working countless hours, and I'm tired. And I don't even know if I'm seeing any of the full results. And I go through these highs and lows, and I know that the enemy is attacking me today. He's attacking me in my electronics. Nothing's working. He's attacking me in my mind. Today, I had the first feeling of missing my breast implants in a long while. I probably had that feeling one time after I got them removed. And today, I looked in the mirror and I felt the enemy telling me, you don't look as feminine as you used to look. So he's coming at me hard because yesterday I had a crazy mind-blowing revelation that casted me into this state of obedience and encouragement and faith. And now today, all of a sudden, I'm in a low. The enemy's coming at me hard. And if you are feeling that, if you feel like you're having high and lows, and you're having these negative thoughts that seem to creep in out of nowhere, even though you were just experiencing something beautiful, know that it is not you going crazy. The enemy is trying to tear you down. And you cannot let him. You need to ground yourself in the why of why you're doing this. I'm not doing this just for me. I'm doing this for my bloodline. I'm doing this for my children. I'm pursuing a relationship with God because I need him in my life. I've tried life without him, and I don't like it there. It's dark. And I don't want my future children, I'm not even pregnant, but I don't want my future children to have to deal with the same things that I have dealt with. I want them to be raised with a solid and sound mind, with a relationship with God. I want them to be speaking to God the way that I speak to God now as an adult. And I want to see that for the rest of my bloodline. And so I can't give up. Even though I want to, even though that this is hard, there's so many days that I struggle. And I don't always share it, but I feel like I'm always crying now lately. I feel like I've just gotten a lot more sensitive, but you guys, this walk is not easy. And so I just want to give you remind you to give yourself some grace and know that you are working through some very difficult spiritual wars that even though we cannot see it in the physical, it is absolutely happening in the spiritual. And we can pretend and say that none of that is actually real, but we know deep down that it is. And so to believe in God means we also believe that there is the opposite. There's darkness out there as well. And so let's not be ignorant to the spiritual attacks. And know that when we're trying to be hard on ourselves or we're calling ourselves crazy because we're experiencing this roller coaster of emotions and nothing's working and we're feeling negative, that is the enemy trying to come in and take away your walk with God. He's trying to throw you off of your path. But do not let him step into your walk with God. Do not let him interject, because he is not welcome here. We have the authority to cast him out. We have the authority to choose to entertain the devil or decide to rebuke him and cast him out of our lives. And as a first generational chain breaker, that is your responsibility for the rest of your bloodline. You have a choice. You can fight and win with God, or you can succumb and submit to your old ways and turn back into your sin. I, for one, am going to choose the hard path of walking with God, because I know that although it's not an easy path, I get to experience God's joy and his peace along the way. The other way is just dark and destructive and conniving and a lie. Both ways are difficult, but one way leads to the Prince of Peace. It may feel like a lot when you're pursuing Christ, but this is just part of that growth. It's growing pains. It's allowing yourself to stretch beyond what you thought was possible and having self-control over things that no longer serve you and making the choice to choose life over death. So that's my video today, guys. And I'm not even going to edit this. I'm just going to let it go because I wanted to post it at 4 p.m. and it's like 3 o'clock and I have no time to edit it because the editing software that I normally use is just, it ain't working. So we're just going to post it raw. But at least I'm going to hit my requirement today. And I'm proud because I persevered. I pushed through even though nothing was working today. So I hope you receive this and I hope that you push. Fight the good fight. And my first generational chain breakers, I feel you. I'm here with you. We're doing our best and we just got to keep showing up. Keep deepening your faith. Keep showing up, reading scripture, asking God for his guidance because he will show up and he is near the brokenhearted. He hasn't forgotten about you. He's there and he wants you to break through too. See you guys tomorrow and the next episode of This Feels Holy.